other types of media like YouTube and podcasts. And those are all marketing tactics. The work that we do is first and foremost marketing strategy that aligns to your business goals and objectives. And then once you have a strategy, the tactics intuitively follow.
Well, Meg Carpenter, CEO, co-founder of FICOM. It was FICOM Partners. Now it's FICOM. Is it still like FICOM Partners, but with the
full name is FICOM Partners,
okay.
But it's easier to say FICOM.
Well, FICOM is a great name. We're going to get into the story. We're going to talk all about that today. But before we do, I want to shout out the reason we're here today in Orange County is to start up season 2 of the Growth Leaders of Wealth Management podcast. That's how we got tied together. So shouting that out. If you haven't heard about it, well, you have now. So go check that out. We're going to talk more about that podcast today. But before we talk about that podcast and the variety of growth leaders, let's talk about you and your growth journey as a leader in financial services. What is FICOM? Who do you serve? What is all this about, and how did you get started?
Ooh, that's a lot of questions in one. Keep me on track here. So FICOM is a firm that helps financial advisory businesses. So think about in the independent space, registered investment advisory firms, larger financial advisory teams in the independent space, also teams within wirehouse channels. We help those types of founders achieve greater marketing-enabled organic growth. And we do that by helping them create their marketing strategy that's tightly aligned to their business goals and objectives, executing against that strategy, and then also advisor coaching, because that's a big part of advisory firm growth. So that's who we are at FICOM. That's what we do today. I started the business, was 2025? 13 years ago. It's hard to believe we're teenagers now. But I've spent my entire career working in the space. I've worked with financial advisors and advisory firms my entire career since I was 20. And started the business because I saw a gap in the industry where marketing was just a really overlooked business discipline. People didn't really know or understand what marketing was. No one, even today, very few people understand how to build a marketing strategy. So 13 years ago, it was even less. It's just marketing was kind of like a nebulous thing. But I saw how powerful great marketing could be for great financial advisors. And I saw that if I could help financial advisors get in front of more qualified prospects so that they could serve more people, that made me feel good about the impact that I could have, because I love what financial advisors do for the clients that they serve. And so that's why I started FICOM, and it's been quite a journey over the last 13 years.
Yeah, 13 years. Did you bootstrap the whole thing? You're a co-founder, so it was yourself. Just how many other people were with you when you got this thing started?
Yeah, so actually started in 2012 as just an independent consultant. So I left my former job and decided that I was going to go out on my own and just do marketing consulting for financial advisors. That was, like I said, in 2012. In 2013, I was introduced to my co-founder, who had started FICOM also in 2012, primarily as a PR firm for financial advisors. We were introduced through a joint client and had just really a lot of aligned philosophy around the industry and what we could do and the value that we could provide. And so I decided to do some consulting for his clients. And it went really well. And so we decided that sort of a more integrated approach to the work that FICOM was doing would be additive. And so I officially merged my consulting business into FICOM in 2014. And we went on it was a really incredible growth journey for us. When we joined forces, we gained a really strong brand reputation in the space, started working with a lot of vendors in addition to financial advisory firms. So over the years, we had worked with custodians, asset managers, wealth tech businesses, any consultants to advisory firms, and grew really fast and got to a point where ultimately as sort of co-founders and business partners, we're very proud of the success that we had achieved, and also realized that the visions that we had for the future success of the business were different. So we decided very amicably to separate ways. So I bought my former co-founder out of the business in 2018, and I've been the majority owner ever since.
Wow. So when I see the brand, first off, it looks phenomenal. So great job. Whoever did it, whether you hired out, it looks amazing.
Thanks.
It's bright. There's purple, there's white, there's orange. It's also very welcoming. Everything that I just said, people don't think typically defines financial services. welcoming, bright, colorful, inviting.
Feminine.
When you were thinking through, okay, I want to go and be a part of something, and you said financial services, but why? Why this space? You said, I saw an opportunity to help them with marketing and putting themselves out there. But why? There's so many people that just, especially listening to this podcast today, that don't trust financial advisors.
That's a shame.
And they're thinking, oh, Times New Roman font, 1980s legal firm, afraid to even talk about money, especially with someone they don't know. And you're saying, I want to jump all into this space and help these folks out, overcome some of these biases and other things, help them put themselves out there in a more trustworthy manner. But why?
I wish I could tell you that I had this grand plan. I didn't. I fell into this space when I was 20 years old. I went to the University of Southern California, and I've worked since I was 15. My parents instilled really strong work ethic into us. So it was my coming into my junior year. I had been abroad over the summer and was coming in and I didn't have a job when I got back from my summer abroad. And so I just asked my sorority sisters, like, who knows of any paid internships? Like, I'll take whatever as long as it's paid. And that's how I fell into this space. So I wasn't actively seeking to work with financial advisors when I was 20 years old. I was just looking for money. So that's how I got started. But what I think I realized early on was, to my earlier point, I had this incredible opportunity. I was given a lot of autonomy and a lot of responsibility at a very young age. And I got to see financial advisors up close, and I got to hear how they spoke to clients. I got to hear stories that would come out of client meetings. I just got to know them as people. And the truth is like really good financial advisors can actually change the lives of the clients that they serve. And many of the clients that we work with today, when we ask about, tell us about some of your best client relationships, they'll say like, well, we're the first person that our clients call when something happens. Not when something happens with money, like when something happens in their life that they want to share good news, or they want to talk about something sad, whatever it is. Like a really great trusted financial advisor relationship is so powerful. And because it's connected to money, it's also deeply personal. And so great financial advisors really make an incredible impact on the lives of the clients that they serve. And at a young age, I saw that super early on. So while it wasn't intentional, it definitely has become a big passion of mine. And I also feel like many financial advisors who have gained quite a bit of success in their business is because they're great financial advisors, not necessarily because they're great founders or business people. And so I love that I have the opportunity to bring more of that business strategic mindset and lens to the work that we do. And so that brings me a lot of fulfillment as well. But we don't hear that as often. It's sort of what you said about the bad perception of financial advisors in the industry. The Madoff was so long ago. We hear that a lot less. We actually hear a lot more stories about how there's actually like not anywhere near enough financial advisors to serve the consumer demand. And if anything, what we hear from consumers is the exclusivity piece, which our industry still has a long way to go on, which is there's a misperception that financial advice is only for the wealthy or ultra wealthy, and that's not the case. But we hear less about it being an untrustworthy profession. And I certainly have devoted my entire career to helping these businesses serve more people because I believe so much in the work that they do. You
have this business. You are the sole owner. You are pushing FICOM out into the world. The problem is people don't know what you do. And that's still something we talked about. You said it earlier in this conversation. We were talking earlier. I came in and said, so are you guys just doing branding now? Because someone told me that. I said, no, some people think that because marketing, there's a variety, it's a big web of services that are out there. And if you tell someone something you do in this space, they say, oh, okay. Like for me, people like Broderick sells microphones. I get it. So how do you articulate your services to help advisors understand what really goes into the marketing strategy and the services you put out there around that?
Yeah, well, there's a lot there because actually my first thought when you said that earlier was like, well, clearly we need to be doing a better job, because if the industry doesn't know and understand what we do, then that means that we have an opportunity to refine our messaging and the way that we show up to be even more clear and sort of straightforward about what we do. I won't go down the rabbit hole, but I'll sort of just plant the seed. I think that there's a little bit there from a business perspective that's interesting to think about, which is we've evolved so much as a business that we've made some pretty big pivots and shifts, and expecting the market to keep up with you is it's not really the right expectation. So I think that could potentially be part of it. Today, we're hyper clear. We have a very focused business strategy. We work with advisory firm owners who are looking to generate that greater marketing-enabled organic growth. And like I said, we do that through strategy, execution, and advisor coaching. I think for us, one of the things that we've done recently to help with the understanding of what we do when we serve a market that doesn't necessarily have a lot of experience with marketing as sort of an important discipline in their business, it's important for us to sort of articulate to those advisors like how it fits into their overall business, sort of starting at a more macro level. When people think of marketing, they often go to specific tactics. So they'll think social media, SEO, to your point, to what Podpony does, other types of media like YouTube and podcasts. And those are all marketing tactics. The work that we do is first and foremost marketing strategy. So what is the strategy? What's your marketing strategy that aligns to your business goals and objectives? And then once you have a strategy, the tactics intuitively follow. So we do quite a bit of work talking to the industry, educating the industry, producing things like my podcast, the Growth Leaders of Wealth Management podcast, our New School podcast, showing up and speaking at events to really educate the industry about what is marketing strategy? How do you think about strategy? What are the right questions to ask? What are the fundamental elements of a marketing strategy? What's a framework by which we can follow? So we do a lot of education, I think, to be able to help the industry understand really what's possible. We also struggle with, coming up against peers in the space who say that they do strategy, but they don't. A lot of marketers will have very beautiful marketing plans that are beautifully designed and really long pitch decks, and they use a lot of big polished words, but they're not actually a strategy. They're just a plan. And so a lot of it is education, and then a lot of it is just overcoming either biases or misinformation, so that we can help them to articulate what our unique view is and how our approach is quite differentiated.
What's the difference between a marketing strategy and a marketing plan?
Well, it's the same with if you ask a founder, what's your business strategy? A lot of them are going to fumble through that, right? So it's sort of having a clear definition of strategy, and people will define it differently. I define a strategy as an overarching concept of how a business is going to reach its goals. And so that's how I approach business strategy when I'm, on an annual basis or regular basis, actually thinking about the strategy for FICOM at a business level. Marketing strategy is no different. So a marketing strategy is an integrated and overarching concept of how a business is going to reach its goals through marketing. And so the difference between a strategy and a plan is if you have a plan that just lists a bunch of marketing tactics and shares for social media, here's what we're going to do. For website, here's what we're going to do. For client newsletters, here's what we're going to do. For events, here's what we're going to do. Here's the date, here's the timeline, here's the topics, here's how they all come together. That's an action plan. A strategy starts with, what are your business goals and objectives? Why do you do what you do? Who do you do it for? What is the change that you seek to create? Where is the business headed this year, 3 years, 5 years? And how is marketing meant to help the business get there? All of those things come together to create a marketing strategy. It's a very specific philosophy, mindset, and approach. And so that's how we differentiate between the two.
I've had a number of people reach out to me asking if I'm concerned with the rise of AI, and we're seeing more marketers, copywriters, designers become displaced because of AI and people using it for whatever variety of reasons and purposes, and not just in marketing. For folks who believe, hey, I'm going to have ChatGPT provide my marketing strategy for the next year or whatever AI platform they're using, talk me through what your thoughts are around that, and maybe some outcomes people should expect, whether positive or negative, if that's the route they decide to take for 2026.
Sure. I mean, I think I see AI as really a great enabler in the same way when the internet came about and sort of everyone thought that life was going to forever be different. And oftentimes you think about it negatively, right? Because it's change. Change is scary and it's technology and we don't always understand it. AI to me is no different than the rise of when, the internet came about. It's this really great enabler to, I think, bring us greater connectivity, to bring us greater efficiencies and scale to be able to allow people to do things that they couldn't do on their own before. I think that just changes the way that we approach our work, but it doesn't negate the need for our work. And if anything, I think that our approach to both strategy and content creation is really validated by what we're seeing with how some people today are using AI to create content. And I don't know if you remember back to like high school science, right? Like first in, first out, or first in, last out. Like I think of the phrase like crap in, crap out.
Yep.
And so anybody today could go to ChatGPT and say, write me an article about, we're in May, we're coming into the end of the school year. I work with a lot of parents of young children. So write me an article about the importance of college savings plan. Anyone could go into any tool like ChatGPT today and ask that. You're going to get a super generic, uninformed, unopinionated response. And so the way that we leverage AI at FICOM is to help us create efficiency around content creation, but we're only able to leverage it because of the knowledge bases that we build, which are very important to yield successful outcomes. So we build really differentiated marketing. We build very clearly articulated and detailed ideal client personas. We create messaging themes that speak directly to those ideal client personas. We've sort of built a framework by which we're able to leverage AI to create greater efficiency. But we still, even though we've built those knowledge bases, we still have to rely on our clients for their brain, their intellectual capital, their insight, their unique worldviews, their opinions, their perspectives, because that's what's going to differentiate your content. Anyone can write anything out there about anything. It may or may not be factual. It may or may not be good, but there's a tremendous opportunity right now to leverage AI to just create more efficiency in content creation. But the fundamentals and the inputs, I think, almost have to be better today, which positions us quite well because that's the work that we do. So we're just in the middle of this incredible technology innovation and disruption. And so we're leveraging it to the best of our ability. We overall feel like it's wildly positive. It's just about how we can maintain our worldviews about marketing strategy and content, and not sort of get lost in the craze of like, oh, but it could be so much, you could do it so much faster or cheaper or whatever with AI.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I was at an event a few months ago and someone came in. I was talking to two advisors about what we could do if they decided to work with Podpony and for their content marketing support. And it felt like a scene out of a movie, but this guy comes in and says, you don't need to listen to this guy. I've got the answers. I figured it out. I was really excited. I'm like, well, this conversation just got awesome. Let's see what happens. Yeah. And let's see what he says. He says, I had this video. I wanted to do it on rollover IRAs. So I tell ChatGPT, give me a 60-second script for this audience on rollover IRAs. It gives me the script. I record it on my phone, spit it into this software. It transcribes it. I put it in LinkedIn 5 minutes later. It didn't cost me a dime. You don't have to give this guy $1. And I had been talking to most of the people in the room at that time. When he came in hot, people could tell, oh, this is what's going to happen. All right, got a little quiet. And I said, okay, if everyone in this room, there's probably like 12 people looking. I was like, of all the people here, if you wanted to have, let's say, ChatGPT write you a similar script, how many people would use the exact same prompt he did? They all raised their hands. So, okay. And you two are in Atlanta. You three are in Texas. You and these other 4 guys right here, you're all from Virginia. You all have the same content, and your audience has all seen the same thing. Congratulations. Someone looks disingenuous.
Well, and nobody learned anything because there's no unique point of view.
Yeah. Nothing whatsoever. So what I'm curious on with that is for folks who are using content, at that point, I would just almost borderline call it plagiarism. But for folks who are using ChatGPT, they say, well, I'm just using it for the ideation stage. I just want to get something started and then I go from there. My thoughts are, you didn't earn it. You don't deserve it. It's kind of like Jurassic Park. You just got an opinion. Now you're packaging it. You're selling it. But it didn't take any research to get there. You didn't get anything out in the world to formulate an opinion and put it out there. But I don't know, what are your, as a professional marketer in this space, what are your thoughts around that? Do you think I have it backwards?
That's interesting to take about, like, you haven't earned it, or you don't deserve it. Like, I'm not sure that I had thought about it that way. I think I go back to like the whole crap in, crap out. Like, if you put crap in, which is sort of what that person suggested, just asking a question or prompting ChatGPT with the same prompt that anyone could prompt, you're going to get crap out. Like, you're going to get a generic, uninformed, boring, completely redundant article that's not unique to anyone, that doesn't speak to anyone. So I think of it more of, if you're going to put content out in the world, you want it to be yours, and you want it to be resonant of your brand and your business and the type of people that you serve and how you solve the needs of your ideal clients better than anybody else, and how only you can do that, because only you can create the types of relationships with your clients that you can create, because you're inherently human and you're you and you're not somebody else. And so I sort of think about, like, let's focus on it from the positive perspective, which is like, how can we leverage AI to do more of that? And then hopefully, if we're all doing more of the good stuff, then there'll be less of the bad stuff. I do also, our industry, if you think about the financial advisor space, has for a long time used canned content. So libraries of content that as a financial advisor you can subscribe to. It's a low monthly fee, and you can get content that's written by professional writers. But the same thing happens. I mean, this has been happening for decades. Like, this is not unique to AI, where 2 or 3 advisors in Houston are all sending the same article to the same list. That's always been a problem. That's not new. There are going to be businesses all around the world who will take the shortcut and the easy way out, and they're going to get easy way out results, which are typically fairly mediocre. It's those people that put their hearts and their souls and their passion and their intellect into building a business that's differentiated, that it will continue to rise to the top. I don't think that this today is much different than any other time.
Yeah. And for folks who think, well, I can, again, get this strategy by inputting it to an AI, one other thing I would put out there is, I think most people, when you actually go to an agency, there's probably some level of humility you have to accept first and foremost, to say, maybe I'm bringing in these folks to see things I don't see in myself, which there's a ton of inherent value that AI is not going to give you about yourself. It doesn't know all that. And there's so many interpersonal things that you get out of those conversations. So my question for you with FICOM specifically is, how do you take, when you're, again, an agency, you don't see these people every day, you don't live with them. How are you able to effectively build unique and catered strategies for financial advisors, where, again, the audience might be thinking, wow, they're all one and the same? And I'll tell you, in a lot of calls, when they tell me I've got this great podcast idea, I'm like, well, what's your key value add? Here's this way we craft portfolios like nobody else. Sometimes it is like pulling straws to find what is the unique thing we can push. So how do you do that?
Part of it is our mindset. So we really believe that there is a huge need across financial services to bring a more human first and heart-centered approach to marketing and sort of how we show up for the clients that we seek to serve broadly as an industry. So we call that our new school mindset. And that really is about bringing just a greater degree of vulnerability and authenticity to marketing, because ultimately we're in a relationship-based business. And so a consumer chooses a financial advisor largely because they feel seen, they feel heard, and they feel like they can trust that advisor. Doesn't matter, not all the time, but sometimes it matters less about how they manage the financial plans or the investment management, and just it matters much more about, like I said, I feel seen, I feel heard, and I can trust this advisor. And so that has to show up in that advisor or advisory firm's marketing, because it is a relationship-based business. So you want to show up as who you are, and so that your marketing can do a lot of work for you before a prospect actually comes into your office. They've more or less already made the decision that they want to work with you, because they understand your worldviews, your beliefs, your perspectives, your opinions, how you're going to help them, that you get them better than anyone else gets them. And so to me, like, that's the mindset that we bring is about elevating the humans that we serve, and therefore they're completely differentiated. Yeah. Like, there's no 2 Meg Carpenters in the world, in the same way that all of our clients, I mean, there's no 2 humans. We're all distinct and individual. So I think that that's part of it. I think also our sort of strategic framework, to your point, there's a lot of services today that will say, for a fee, AI can craft your marketing strategy. I think that a lot of that has to do with the inputs and the questions that are asked and the questions that are quite specific to each individual business that I feel like we're highly competent at. So it's sort of our zone of excellence it's our number one competitive advantage and differentiator is we know the right questions to ask to solicit the insight that we need to craft a marketing strategy that will only support the goals and objectives of the clients, that individual client that we serve. And so even if you think about all of our clients are advisory firms, we're very focused, have a very strong niche. Sure, you could say that on paper, they all look the same, but when we dig under the hood and we understand them as business owners and founders and leaders, we understand why they do what they do and who they do it for and the changes they seek to create. If we stay really focused there, then it becomes quite obvious that actually none of the marketing strategies will ever be the same because they're very different businesses run by very different people. So I think it's a mindset, and I think that it's our framework.
To offer this experience, if it were just you probably could only have 3 or 4 clients, not very many people you're actually working with. But I think right now you're a team of 15, right? So 13 years, you're adding 1.3 heads per year, something like that. How do you bring in people who are bought into that mission and are going to be able to offer that high touch experience that really, because again, if it's unique and it's not canned, you have to bring in competent people who are excited about each individual advisor, every single project, and are able to move this mission forward. How were you able to effectively do that in the beginning, and how has that changed to get your team to where it is today?
Have I ever effectively done that? I think is sort of the first question. I mean, I think as a business owner, I think people tend to be sort of the most beautiful asset to any business and also the greatest challenge to any business. And over the years, we've hired a lot more than 1.3 people per year. We've had a number of people over the years who have worked here, some who have been phenomenal, some who haven't worked out. And so I feel like, to me, being honest with you, that's been a challenge. I think I as a business owner have learned quite a bit along the way about, first and foremost, having a clear strategy business strategy, because that should inform hiring decisions. And as a younger founder, it's sort of like in the beginning stages. I don't know if you had a similar experience, but you're so excited if anyone wants to work with you because you're like, this is a new business and I can't believe anyone would want to work with me. And then we started growing really fast. So then it was like we just needed bodies. Like we needed people to fulfill the contracts that we had. And so it was sort of just like, let's get people in who are practitioners, who have done this and who can fulfill these contracts. And then there's like we could talk for days and days about this. I think where I am today is we really have recognized the need to do a ton of internal training and development in order to have successful service tribes. We call them tribes here at FICOM, because so much of our unique ability is very specific to FICOM that we have found difficulty in finding people with outside marketing experience come in and to be able to take on our specific philosophy and approach. So we've had some decisions that we thought were really great hiring decisions that unfortunately turned out not to be great hiring decisions, not because of the people, but just because we didn't really know what we were hiring for. And then we overestimated on people's ability to be able to learn our strategic framework and to adopt our mindset. And so today we really hire more so, and you'll hear this a lot, like hire for culture first, because you can train on competency later. But we have found that it's much better for us to develop from within than to try to bring people in who have the same mindset, because we just have found that they don't. And so for us on the people front, that's currently where we're at. And that's been after a good journey of learnings and failures and trying again and failing again and just keeping my head down, and not really putting any pressure on myself to figure it out, but just to keep moving forward in a way that I could be proud of and that we were able to deliver on the exceptional service that we expect to.
That is something. When I started Pod Pony, marketing, all right, I was okay at marketing and sales, but totally terrible at hiring people. And I still don't think I'm any good at it. I think I'm a lot better, and I've come a long way.
And that's all we can ask of ourselves.
Yeah. But hiring for culture is something I realized we have a specific mission we're on here at Pod Pony. And one of the last people who didn't stick around, I mean, we're on great terms with people who don't stick around here. We really care. but they know we give everyone a 90-day probation period because it's the best solution I have right now to find out. Just test this out. You'll know pretty fast whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have a better system later than that. That's what we're working with right now. How have you been able to hire for culture? And maybe you've one-upped me there and you found, hey, here's a better way to do that before you actually hire them.
No, I never would say that I've one up to anybody on this front. But I think where we sit today at FICOM is I do believe that the reputation that our brand has in the industry is highly connected to who I am as a business owner and to who we are as FICOM, as an organization. And so because of that, we actually attract a lot of like-minded talent. So we're in a very privileged position right now where we have a lot of people who want to work here because of what they see and feel and experience, which is the beauty of brand and digital marketing, is that people can sort of have a sense that they know you before they know you. And so we have a lot of people that reach out with a high desire to work here because of what they perceive our culture to be online. So that makes me proud. It makes me feel like the way that we're showing up digitally is resonant to who we are as a business, and that people are curious and interested in our new school mindset, our strategic framework, and our culture. We state our core values everywhere. It's in every job description. It's on our website. We talk about it as a company and as a team all the time. So we lead with core values. We have a people analyzer that lists all of the core values, and then we give a plus or a minus to candidates. And then we have to have 6 pluses in order for someone to advance. There's no plus minuses or minuses allowed. So we've done some things, I think, to sort of get us to be slightly better than we were for hiring for culture. But I think, it's still one of those things, to your point, where we also do quite a bit of exercises. So we require every candidate in our pipeline to do an exercise. That often is where we can separate the real strong candidates from those who look strong on paper but aren't actually the right fit for us, the right fit for someone else. Because in doing these strategic exercises, we can actually understand their level of strategic thinking. And so that's helped us as well. So I think leading with core values, having a brand that's resonant to who we are, to attract the right type of at least like-minded people, and then assessing their capabilities through exercises is what we're currently doing. Yeah. I think it's working better, but I don't really know.
Well, it seems really positive on the as someone who's helping market this whole thing. I can tell eyes are on it.
Yeah.
More and more people every day are paying attention to what you're doing here at FICOM, and it's really exciting to be a part of. The fact that you've been doing this for 13 years, I think they said 68% of startups last year, they said didn't make it past year 3. And so I don't know what percentage you fall into, but I know you're not in the majority camp, far outside of it, sticking out 13 years. In doing research for today's podcast, we found your mom was a big inspiration for you in your career and something that kept you driven. So my question is now, what is it that keeps you getting out of bed every day and coming back into work and keeping you going? Because running an agency, it's hard. Change is always coming. And there are some days where it's draining. And I'll be honest, there's days where it's like, I'd rather not. I'd rather not today, but it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So what is it that keeps you running?
I think first it's my team. I work alongside an amazing group of individuals and professionals who are remarkable humans and amazing at what they do. And I love that I feel a sense of responsibility to continue to lead the business forward no matter what. So in times of significant change and uncertainty, whether it's macro, from the economic perspective or it's something specific to us at FICOM, I feel a really beautiful responsibility to the team, and they keep me going. And the days where it's like, oof, that one was a tough one. Do I want to come back tomorrow? And then just the second thing I would say is going back to the clients that we serve. I just really do believe in the work that financial advisors do for the clients that they serve. And I feel as though we can actually have a pretty tremendous impact if we can help great financial advisors serve more of the exact types of clients that they want to serve. I do quite a bit of charitable work. I sit on a few boards that are all centered around the same thing, which is how can we sort of expand access to financial advice? How can we transform the impact of wealth management? And so my belief is just I have high conviction in that as an opportunity and a responsibility that I have.
Yeah. Well, since we're a media company, when we land this plane every episode, something we ask is, if you got to pick, all right, let's say your life's done and your life's made up into a soundtrack or a cassette, and there's a number of songs on there, and you got to best exuded every area of your life, and you got to pick the song that you hoped would best define your career, what song would you go with?
Oh my gosh. At the end of my life, what song would be like my
career song?
My career song? I mean, for so long, I would answer that sort of like what my hype song was, like "It's About Damn Time" by Lizzo. But I don't know if I want that to be my recap. I'm thinking probably like U2, Pride. Like that would be like a good theme song for me, I think.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Okay, why that one?
It's just, first of all, I mean, it's U2 and it's just such an incredible anthem. But I just feel like, I don't know. I'm big on, like, to me, if someone were to say, like, what do you want someone to say about you at the end of your life? Like, honestly, it wouldn't be that I built an incredible business. It would be that I was kind and compassionate, and it would be about how I made other people feel. And so I sort of go to more of like the heart-centered piece of it.
Oh, I love that. And I tell you what, I absolutely buy it. You're a genuine person that I'm genuinely just honored that we get to support FICOMP with the Growth Leaders of Wealth Management podcast. If you're listening into it, you haven't checked it out, I said it in the beginning, if you're in financial services, you should at least go listen. Or if you're you're a major in finance and you said there's 90 million jobs out there, which one do I go into? Well, there are a variety of leaders. You'll be able to listen to that podcast and find what lanes are out there and what might be the best for you. If you're an advisor looking to grow, you already know. Meg, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Biztape podcast with me today. For folks who are listening in and they want to know more, they want to know where they can find you, access the stuff you put out there, go check out FICOM. Where do they go?
FICOMpartners.com.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Very cool. And you're on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn. Yes, so is FICOM. We're also on Instagram and X.
Okay, awesome. And Growth Leaders is available anywhere you listen to podcasts. I mean, all the major ones. If you've got some random platform. We don't have a custom app, so you're not going to find us in the App Store. But Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube,
yep.
All those places. Go check it out.
Thank you.
That's it. That's this week's episode of the Biztape. Thank you for checking it out. And I don't know who we're going to talk to next time. I know it's going to be good, so you're going to want to hit subscribe so you don't miss it. See you then.